Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet. Today we are going to be talking about free speech. Now, much has been made about free speech since Donald Trump got kicked off of Twitter last month. I know, everybody all of a sudden is a constitutional law expert. You know, the very same people who up until a month ago thought the only amendment to the Constitution was the one that let them have guns are all of a sudden experts on free speech and the amendment that comes before the gun one. You know, the one that says Congress shall pass no law which abridges the right to free speech, saying nothing about corporations, social media platforms, or other third-party entities. Now, the argument that people are making, and again, these are people who absolutely love Donald Trump and couldn't care less about free speech itself, these people would have you believe that the intent of it is that everybody has the right to free speech all the time. That's right. It is enshrined. We are guaranteed that. That's some godlike shit. However, what these newly minted constitutional free speech experts fail to mention is that even if you did have the right to free speech all the time, anywhere, to say whatever you wanted, it does not exclude you from ramifications that come about from your free speech. Here, let's take a look at a little example. Voting technology company Smartmatic files $2.7 billion lawsuit against Fox News' Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell over disinformation campaign. If you remember, after the election, Rudy, Sidney, and a slew of other people were out exercising their free speech 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, screaming, ranting, and raving about the election being rigged and stolen. The problem was they had no evidence. And every time they file a motion in court, they would then explain to the court that they actually had no evidence to base a fraud claim upon, and their claims would get kicked out of court. Then they'd run to a microphone and go, "But this is fraud. We have evidence," even though 10 minutes ago in the courtroom, they said they have no evidence. So apparently all these companies that they slandered, i.e. free speeched about, are now going to go after them for telling lies. Free speech has consequences. A voting technology company swept up in baseless conspiracy theories about the 2020 election filed a monster $2.7 billion lawsuit on Thursday against Fox News, some of the network's star hosts, and pro-Trump attorneys Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell, alleging the parties worked in concert to wage a, quote, disinformation campaign that has jeopardized its very survival. We have no choice, Antonio Mujica, the chief executive and founder of Smart Tech, told CNN Business in an interview about the company's decision to file the lawsuit. Quote, "The disinformation campaign that was launched against us is an obliterating one. For us, this is existential and we have to take action." So while all these people were exercising their right to free speech, they were also slandering a company that has employees and profit margins, and most of those are based on their reputation. So when you slander somebody's reputation and their business or income suffers for it, you have the right to seek redress in a court of law by filing a suit for slander. Free speech has consequences. The lawsuit filed in New York court accused Fox, Giuliani, Powell, and hosts Lou Dobbs, Maria Bartiromo, and Janine Pirro of intentionally lying about Smartmatic in an effort to mislead the public into false belief that the 2020 presidential election was stolen from former President Trump. Quote, "They needed a villain. They needed someone to blame. They needed someone whom they could get others to hate. A story of good versus evil, the type that would incite an angry mob. It only works if the storyteller provides the audience with someone who personifies evil. And for those who witnessed the insurrection, that is exactly what happened. Now, there are 5 people dead and 2 different voting companies with massive lawsuits against the slanderous folk who made all of this happen. Without any true villain, defendants invented one," the lawsuit added. Defendants decided to make Smartmatic the villain in their story. In a statement on behalf of the network and the named hosts issued after the lawsuit was filed, a Fox News spokesperson said, quote, "Fox News Media is committed to providing the full context of every story with in-depth reporting and clear opinion. We are proud of our 2020 election coverage and will vigorously defend this meritless lawsuit in court. Now, here's the funny thing about opinion. You can have an opinion that the election was stolen, but if you state flat out that the election was stolen and you cannot provide evidence, then the parties who you slandered are allowed to come after you. Free speech has consequences. Asked for comment, Powell said in his statement, "I have not received notice or a copy of this alleged lawsuit. However, your characterization of the claims shows that this is just another political maneuver motivated by the radical left that has no basis in fact or law." Sorry, Sydney, this is neither political nor motivated by the radical left. You slandered somebody and caused their business to be worth less. Now they're suing you for that lost value. That is indeed the very concept of the law. CNN Business is reaching out to Giuliani for comment. Yeah, this is how this one's going to go. Mr. Giuliani, it's CNN. Could you open the door? We'd like to ask you a question. Maybe like, 1 minute, hold on, I'm in my bathrobe. And then,
wow, put on big boy pants.
Rudy's escaping out the back door. Don't expect any fucking statement anytime soon. Giuliani and Powell have also been sued by another voting technology company, Dominion Voting Systems, for promoting their voter fraud conspiracies. Giuliani called Dominion's lawsuit against him an act of intimidation to censor the exercise of free speech, and Powell called Dominion's lawsuit against her baseless. Again, Rudy, that's not free speech. If you accuse somebody of fixing an election, which is akin to committing treason, you have to have some evidence. If you don't, you're just slandering them. Free speech has consequences. In the immediate aftermath of his loss, Trump falsely asserted that the election had been rigged against him. His allies, including Fox, Giuliani, and Powell, promoted various conspiracy theories about Smartmatic, which only provided its service to Los Angeles County in the 2020 general election. The baseless conspiracy theories peddled about Smartmatic, which mimic those pushed against Dominion, falsely suggested that the company's technology was used throughout the country and allowed the November vote to be rigged against Trump. Well, if you're going to claim that a company who only provided service in one county in all of America somehow rigged the election all across America, you would have to provide evidence. Without evidence, it's just a baseless claim, or what the kids at home would call slander. Some strains of the conspiracy theory pushed on Fox aim to tie the company to the late Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez. Other strains suggested that Dominion used Smartmatic's voting software in swing states and that votes were exported out of the country to be tabulated. Both assertions were false, and Smartmatic pointed out in its lawsuit it doesn't work with Dominion as the two companies are competitors. Seriously, people, we're in the middle of a pandemic and we can't get all the pharmaceutical companies to manufacture a vaccine because, patents, and they're not going to give out the secret sauce recipe to all the other companies so we could manufacture 10 times as much vaccine, 10 times faster. Yet you think two opposed voting booth companies are going to give each other their software? Quote, "It took us completely by surprise. We've never seen something like this in developed markets. We've never seen something like this before in Europe. We've never seen something like this before in the US." Throughout the nearly 300-page lawsuit, Smartmatic surgically dismantled the theories against it. The earth is round. 2 + 2 = 4. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won the 2020 election. The lawsuit said, "The election was not stolen, rigged, or fixed. These are facts. These are demonstrable and irrefutable." I certainly hope the defendants in this case are able to provide some evidence to back up their claims, because if not, people are going to be writing out enormous checks. Free speech has consequences. Smartmatic's lawyer, J. Eric Connolly, told CNN Business that the case is one of the most straightforward he has ever seen. Connolly, who secured one of the largest defamation settlements ever in the Pink Slime case against NBC News, said that because Smartmatic's role in the 2020 general election was limited to providing services to just Los Angeles County, that he could easily prove all the conspiracy theories are false. Quote, By being able to say Smartmatic was in Los Angeles County and nowhere else, I've been able to prove a lie of everything they essentially said with one salient fact. I've been doing this for a long time, and that might be one of the easiest ways to demonstrate falsity that I have ever had. And herein lies the problem with most of the bamboozle them with bullshit strategy that the Trump campaign rolled out to try to obfuscate what was going on so he could just sort of, I don't know, steal another 4 years. The problem is that if you're going to concoct a conspiracy theory, you eventually have to point to somebody as the boogeyman. There has to be a boogeyman. And unfortunately for them, the boogeyman has really good lawyers. Smartmatic said in the lawsuit that the conspiracy theories had undermined its business relationships around the world, resulting in a wave of threats against its staff and contributed to a $767 million drop in its parent company's projected profits over the next 5 years. Additionally, the lawsuit said Smartmatic will need to spend $350,000 annually over the next 2 years in increased security costs to protect the physical safety of its workers and nearly $5 million in fees over the next 5 years to safeguard the company from a meteoric rise in cyber attacks. And if that seems far-fetched or extravagant or like somebody just looking to milk extra money, please see the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol when thousands of people came armed with baseball bats, killed cops, and took over the heart of the United States government. Smartmatic's parent company estimated that the disinformation concocted and spread by the defendants had costed at least $2.7 billion in total damages, $2.4 billion of which is specific to Smartmatic, according to the suit. Smartmatic's lawyers sent a legal notice to Fox in December demanding a full and complete retraction of all false and defamatory statements. The legal notice said the retraction needed to be executed, quote, with the same intensity and level of coverage that you used to defame the company in the first place. Free speech has consequences. Soon after receiving that notice, Fox ran a surreal point-by-point fact check on the programs hosted by Dobbs, Pyro, and Bartiromo. The segment, which first aired December 18th on Dobbs' show, featured an interview with a voting technology expert who corrected a series of falsehoods that had been amplified and promoted on the network's various programs. Smartmatic used the fact check segment in its lawsuit to argue that Fox could have easily articulated the facts and conveyed the truth to viewers before its legal notice. Smartmatic's lawsuit also pointed to a November segment from Fox News host Tucker Carlson in which he told viewers that Powell had not provided him any evidence to support her election conspiracies. The lawsuit referred to Carlson as, quote, a respected figure within the network and concluded that if Powell had provided any evidence to Fox to support her wild allegations, it would have been shared with him. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch the Tucker Carlson respected figure thing because TikTok, I don't have that kind of time. The lawsuit alleges Fox and its hosts were motivated in part by the desire for ratings, to cater to individuals and companies supporting President Trump, and to avoid losing viewers to competing media organizations like OANN and Newsmax. And there you have it, nearly $5 billion in lawsuits against Trump apologists and Trump cheerleaders. Please notice, Trump is not named in any of these suits, and Trump is not coming to any of their rescues. He's going to leave them high and dry like he leaves everybody else when the lawsuits start. So remember, free speech, it's great. Feel free to exercise it whenever you want, but just remember, free speech has consequences. Until next time, my name is James. I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.